Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting welterweight Tyson Steele. Tyson, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Tyson, you got a fight coming up June 14th at World Series of Fighting 3. How's training been going for the fight?
Yes, sir. It's been going really well. I've been getting a ton of extra help from guys throughout the gym. I'm putting in long hours there every night and working out during the day. It's going better than any other training camp I've had to date. So I'm really happy with the way I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm. Who exactly are you working with, and where are you working at in preparation for this fight?
The gym that I go to is called Alliance Martial Arts Systems in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. The head coach his name's Graham Link. He's a really good coach. He's got a handful of really top level fighters in Canada that train out of there. Some of them that you maybe heard of would be Kurt Southern, Adam Moran's.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They're some of the more well-known guys out of Saskatoon here, so I work with those guys every day, and a handful of other guys that are always in as well. It's a really good, tight, close group of guys that we got.
In your last fight, your debut for World Series of Fighting, at World Series of Fighting 1, you fought Gregor Gracie. It was a very impressive performance on your part. He had you in tons of submission holds. He had you in a side choke that was very tight. A lot of people thought that you were going to be tapping very soon, but you were able to fight out of that. He had you in an arm bar. Just every kind of submission you can possibly think of. He had you in. You were able to escape and eventually finish him by TKO. How pleased were you with your performance in that fight?
I was really happy with the end result, obviously. Ideally, I wouldn't be caught up in any submissions like that, but I was able to work my way out. The head and arm triangle was the one that was really, really bad, but the arm bar and the heel hooks, they weren't too much of a bother to me, but that head and arm triangle was super tight, and I was pretty close to being all cold with that one. But once I got out of there, there's no way that I was just going to give up to any other submission attempt that he had either. So at the end of the fight, I was really happy to get the win, but ideally I wouldn't be caught up in as much trouble as I was.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great performance on your end. Being able to survive and then stop him, it was very impressive, I must say. And just curious, what was the game plan going into that fight? Obviously the game plan wasn't to be on bottom and survive submission attempts, and come back like the way you did. But what exactly was the game plan going into the fight?
No, you're right. As far as game plans go, I honestly don't go in there expecting the fight to go one way or another, because, like you said, obviously no one plans to be defending chokes from the bottom, but sometimes things go that way, so you have to prepare for it. So my game plan is to go out and fight my fight, pressure hard, and make my opponent react to what I'm doing. Try to make him get off a game plan if he has one. But as far as fighting on my feet, top position, bottom position on the ground, I prepare for everything equally, and I'm comfortable with every position like that. So I don't really go out there expecting it to go one way or another, because from my past experiences that sort of thing can change very quickly, and then you're looking for other ideas. So my training consists of training as hard as I can in all aspects of the game.
How much did that fight boost your confidence, knowing that you were able to ward off and eventually finish a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion like Gregor Gracie, a guy who a lot of people thought if he was able to get the fight to the ground and get on top that he'd be able to submit you? How much confidence did that build to you that you can be in all kinds of trouble and still be able to fight out of it and get the job done?
It was really good. It was definitely the most trouble I've been in any fight to date. So just to reassure myself that I can work through stuff like that, it's nice to know that about myself, because leading up to then I wasn't sure. I did have one submission loss prior to this, but the Tyson Steele today definitely would not have tapped out to what I got caught with knocking my only loss. So I kind of owe credit to that because I know how much losing sucks. So I go in there a lot with the attitude that I'm not going to tap out no matter what, and I can work through, and
Yeah, that one loss you had was against Curtis DeMars at MFC 26. What went wrong for you in that fight, and what did you learn from that loss?
Well, I basically was a lot more inexperienced. I got caught up in a triangle choke, and I panicked. I know how to escape from it. I panicked, then I tapped out, and I probably tapped out too soon, to be honest. If that was the same Tyson Steele that was fighting Gregor Gracie, he probably would have tapped out with that head arm triangle. So I think if I would not have lost that fight, I wouldn't have understood the importance of winning as much, and that's part of the reason what made me push through the submission that Gregor had me in. It really changed me a lot as a fighter. It made me really understand that I hate losing a lot more than I enjoy winning. That's for sure.
Are you a full-time fighter, or do you work a second job?
I work a job. I work in operations with our city's water treatment plant. So it's a full-time job, but I'm still putting in, I'm just putting in 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours a day of training. The job that I work full-time, they're really, really awesome with letting me get the time off that I need when I have fights coming up. So after the fight, I'll still train, but I'll work throughout the day. I'll do my training in the evening, but then as fight time's approaching, I'll be able to cut back on work a little bit and get the extra training in that I need to prepare for a fight.
I see. Just one more thing about the Gregor Gracie fight. Do you think, in that end of the first round there that he burned himself out, he burned his arms out, trying all these different submission holds? Do you think that played a factor in why you were able to get a stoppage?
It might have. The guy is obviously really well conditioned. He's been doing it his whole life, so it could have maybe played a bit of a part in it. But I think more than anything, I think he was certain that he had me finished, and I could tell that he was very disheartened when I escaped his subs. I think that played a big part in it too. I think once he realized that I all of a sudden was fighting back and hitting him and beating him up, then it took a lot of life out of him too.
Now, going forward, World Series of Fighting 3, you're going to be fighting Steve Carl. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Steve's going to be a really tough match. He's really gritty. He's got no quit in him, and I'm expecting it to be fireworks. I know it's going to be a super exciting fight for everyone, so I'm not taking him lightly at all. He's got a ton of experience for being such a young guy, and he's proven to be tough, so I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Now, you mentioned that you really don't go in there with a game plan, and you really don't, worry too much before the fight happens about where the fight might go. But Steve Carl, his bread and butter is his ground game, and you just went against a top ground guy in Gregor Gracie in your last fight. So are you pretty much comfortable anywhere in this fight? Whether it be standing or on the ground. Do you have a preference either way?
I think so. I'm confident that I can avoid his submissions. He's got, I think, 14 submission wins of his 19 victories, so he's obviously very, very good at them. But my plan is just to fight aggressively and keep him on the defense. That's how I always like to fight, is to keep my opponent defending. That way they don't get the chance to attack. So you can't win fights if you're always defending. That's kind of the way I go into it. I want to put him off his game, but at the same time, I do watch lots of footage on my opponents, and I notice what they do well, and I work a little bit extra at stuff like that. So it's not that I completely disregard what my opponents' strengths are. I do pay very close attention to that, but I'm not gonna go in there just because he's got 14 submission wins. I'm not going to go in there with the idea of only keeping it on the feet because I'm worried about him submitting me.
Now, usually when we see two guys who are good on the ground game cancels out, but that could have been the case in your last fight, and it still went to the ground because you and Gregor are both good on the ground. Do you see something similar to the Gregor Gracie fight where you guys are playing on the ground even though you're so good, or do you think that, it's a lot more even this time around and it will cancel out?
Well, I think that people are going to probably take me a little more serious now. I wasn't really given much credit to win that last fight, which I did. A lot of people were counting me out before it started, so I think people are going to realize now that I can keep up with just about anyone when it comes to the ground game in MMA.
Mm-hmm. After your first victory for World Series of Fighting, a lot of people really wanted to see you on the second World Series of Fighting card. All the fans that visit Top MMA News in Canada, all those fans wanted to see you on the second card fighting Josh Berkman. A lot of people were in an uproar when you didn't get to fight on that card, whether it be against Berkman or somebody else. There's a lot of support for you right now. Are you, feeling the same kind of support that I'm seeing you get? Are you feeling the support?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in Canada, Top MMA News does a fantastic job of promoting all the Canadian talent. So I had a lot of support. You're right. I wanted to see myself on that card too, and I thought I was going to. Initially, I was told that I would be on it, and something fell through. I don't really know exactly what it was, but it didn't work out that time, and it is what it is. It kind of disappointed me, but I kept up training, working hard, and just got ready for their third show. So here we are. I think that they're making up for it by putting me as the co-main event anyway. Mm-hmm. That should definitely make a lot of people happy. Mm-hmm. Gets me on the second card.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, the original co-main event for this fight card was going to be Tyrone Spong versus Angel Deanda. That fight got canceled because Tyrone Spong, I think he had a visa issue or something, and he couldn't make that date to fight. Now, your fight got bumped up to the co-main event. Were you surprised that they decided to bump your fight into the co-main event, or were you thinking that maybe they were going to find Deanda a replacement and that was going to be in the co-main event? Were you surprised at all when they decided to put your fight?
I was a little bit surprised, but not shocked. Because initially, Steve and I were supposed to be on the undercard. Mm-hmm. So for them to take us from the undercard right to the co-main, that's a pretty big jump, and you don't see that too often. But at the same time, from a business end of things, the World Series, as an upstart promotion, they want to get lots of young, up-and-coming fighters like ourselves. They want to make us well-known because it's just better for their promotion to have some new guys on their way up. Some new faces maybe that people haven't heard of before, and they want to promote us like that. So I can understand why they did it. It's good for them from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm. Now this fight, like you mentioned, co-main event. It's going to be live on NBC Sports Network. Is it safe to say that this fight is the biggest fight of your career?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Every fight's the most important when when the time comes for that fight. But this one, I've definitely never fought on a stage like this before. Co-main event, live NBC television. So that's it's absolutely the most important, biggest fight, biggest stage that I've had. So I'm really looking forward to putting on a good show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, word on the street is the winner of this fight between you and Steve Carl will get the winner of Josh Berkman and John Fitch, and whoever wins that fight and whoever wins your fight will fight for the World Series of Fighting welterweight belt. Has World Series of Fighting said to you that this is a number one contenders fight?
I've heard the rumors, probably the same rumors you have. Mm-hmm. Although I haven't heard from anyone with the World Series of Fighting themselves. Mm-hmm. I just kind of saw the odd tweet here and there that people have put out, but I don't believe that I've heard officially from any of the World Series reps. But if that's what they're saying, then I'm going to welcome that. I think that's the way it should be. They're talking about belts for the middleweights now, and after this fight, then they'll have either Fitch or Berkman. Berkman will have had 2 or 3 wins with the World Series of Fighting, and Fitch, he's obviously in a position to fight for the title already, coming off his past career with the UFC. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anyone's going to argue with him getting a title shot if he beats Berkman. And then you got Steve and I both have impressive wins already on their first show. So I think that we're both deserving of that shot too, whoever comes out on top. with this fight. I don't think you'll hear many complaints if that's the opportunity that we're given.
Yeah, definitely. Now, June 14th, I don't know if you're aware of, but Man of Steel, the new Superman movie, that comes out the same day that you're fighting. And since you are the Man of Steel, it kind of seems like, maybe things might be, setting up here for a nice win for you on June 14th. How do you see this fight ending?
That's a funny coincidence, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your question that you...
How do you see the fight ending?
I see myself finishing Steve. I think I can put him away with some ground pounds, to be honest. I think I can hurt him on his feet, rock him, and I got a killer instinct like none other in this game. So once I hurt him, then I think it's going to be game over for him. He's going to have a tough time recovering.
Tyson, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, well, I've got my team, Alliance, that I'd like to thank. I've been getting a ton of help from everyone there. I'd like to thank Gamma Labs, Canelson Drilling, Sprawl. I'd like to let the fans know that I appreciate their support, and thanks for watching, and cheer me on. I look forward to giving you guys a good show.
June 14th, Man of Steel opens in theaters, but the real Man of Steel will be in the World Series of Fighting cage June 14th against Steve Carl. Tyson, best of luck on June 14th.